The airport was buzzing with the usual chaos. Loud announcements echoed across the terminal, families hurried with bags, and tired travelers slumped in chairs, waiting for their boarding calls. Among them was David Miller, a 42-year-old businessman. His tie hung loose, his shirt wrinkled. He wasn't just tired, he looked defeated. For months, his life had spiraled, a broken marriage, a distant teenage son, and a company deal slipping through his fingers. Tonight, he was flying from Chicago to Los Angeles for yet another meeting he wasn't sure he cared about. As he walked down the jet bridge, his thoughts grew darker. Another empty night. Another stranger by my side. Just get through it, David. Row 17. A window seat. David sighed in relief. At least he could close his eyes and block out the world. But as he slid into the row, he noticed someone already seated next to him. A man. Quiet. Simple clothes. No carry-on. His face calm, almost glowing under the dim cabin lights. He smiled at David with a warmth that felt unusual. "Evening," the stranger said softly. David gave a polite nod. Not in the mood for small talk, he thought. The plane filled. The engines roared. The flight attendants closed the overhead bins. As the jet pushed back from the gate, the stranger beside him folded his hands quietly, as though in prayer. Something about him unsettled David. Not in a bad way, but in a way he couldn't explain. The flight climbed through clouds. The seatbelt sign went off. People pulled out laptops, books, and headphones. David reached for his laptop too, but the stranger spoke. "You've been carrying a heavy burden, haven't you?" David froze. His eyes snapped toward the man. "Excuse me." The stranger looked at him calmly. "The weight in your heart. It's loud enough to hear." David's chest tightened. How could he know? He forced a laugh. "You don't know me. Let's just mind our own. You haven't spoken to your son in 3 weeks." The stranger interrupted gently. "And you're afraid he's slipping away." David's jaw dropped. His knuckles whitened on the armrest. "Who are you? Did someone send you?" The man shook his head with that same gentle smile. "No one sent me." "But I know you, David." David's voice cracked. "That is impossible." The man leaned closer, his eyes steady. "Your marriage. You feel it's beyond saving. Your business. You fear it's failing. And your faith." He paused. "You haven't prayed in years." The cabin around them blurred. The noise of the engines faded. For a moment, David felt like it was just the two of them in the entire world. He whispered, "How could you know all this?" The man's reply was calm, steady. "Because I was there. Every moment. Even when you thought you were alone." David's heart raced. He looked around nervously. "Who are you?" The man simply said, "A friend." The captain's voice interrupted. "Ladies and gentlemen, we've hit some unexpected weather. Please fasten your seatbelts." The plane shuddered. Overhead bins rattled. A baby cried. Nervous laughter rippled through the cabin. But soon, the shaking grew violent. Lightning flashed outside. The aircraft dropped suddenly, and screams filled the air. David gripped the armrest, panic flooding his chest. He had always feared flying. Now he was certain, this is it. But the man beside him sat calm, unshaken. He placed a hand gently on David's trembling arm. "Peace," he whispered. Instantly, David felt something wash over him. A stillness, a warmth, as though the storm outside had no power over him. The plane shook violently again. Oxygen masks dropped. People prayed, cried, shouted. But David sat frozen, staring at the man's face. His calmness was unearthly. And then, through the chaos, the stranger began to softly speak words, not to David, but aloud.
Fear not, for I am with you.
Do not be dismayed, for I am your God.
David esse Brett Cot.
Those words. He remembered them. His mother had read them to him as a child.
Isaia 41, 10.
The turbulence began to ease. The plane steadied. Slowly, the mast swung still. Passengers wept with relief. David turned to the man, his voice shaking.
Who are you?
This time, the man answered clearly.
I am. David esse Eyes widened.
The words hit him like thunder. I am. It couldn't be. Are you saying?
The man extended his hands slowly.
David saw faint scars on each wrist, healed, but unmistakable. David gasped. His chest heaved as tears filled his eyes. No, this isn't possible. But deep down he knew. He felt it in his soul. This was no ordinary man. Jesus Christ was sitting beside him. David broke down, covering his face. Years of guilt, anger, and loneliness came pouring out in sobs.
I failed my wife.
I failed my son.
I've failed you.
Jesus placed a hand on his shoulder.
David, I never left you.
Even when you turned away, I was beside you.
I sat with you in your loneliness. I wept with you in your anger. And tonight,
I sit beside you on this plane.
David shook with tears.
Why me? Why now? Jesus' eyes softened. Because you prayed once, long ago, that I would not forget you. And I never did. The rest of the flight felt timeless. David spoke, confessed, poured out his regrets. Jesus listened with patience, answering with love, reminding him of truths he had long buried. As the plane descended toward Los Angeles, dawn breaking over the horizon, David felt lighter, as though the chains on his soul had been cut. When the wheels touched down and the cabin lights brightened, David turned to his seatmate with trembling gratitude. But the seat was empty. No sign of him.
No bag, no trace.
David's eyes filled again, but this time with awe, not sorrow. As passengers stood to leave, David whispered, "Thank you." Back on the ground, David called his son before even leaving the terminal. His voice cracked as he said, "Son, I love you. I'm sorry. Can we start again?" His son's silence broke with tears of his own. "I've been waiting for you to say that, Dad." From that day, David's life changed. Not because of a deal closed or a fortune gained, but because one night, on a flight through a storm, he discovered that sometimes the person sitting beside you isn't just a stranger. It's the Savior, reminding you that you are never forgotten. And if stories like this move your heart, make sure to subscribe right now, because the next one might just be the message you've been waiting for. Imagine if you were on that plane. What would you do? If you want to keep hearing powerful stories of faith like this, don't forget to like this video and turn on the bell icon. This story reminds us that grace can find us anywhere, even 30,000 feet above the ground. Share this video with someone who needs hope today. And if you're new here, subscribe to Path of Grace right now, because here you'll find the stories that awaken faith, heal hearts, and remind you, you are never forgotten.